The following production is produced by the State University of New York College at Oneonta.
Good evening and welcome to another exciting edition of Inside Red Dragon Sports. I'm your host, Geoff Hassard, the Assistant Director of Athletics and Sports Information Director here at SUNY Oneonta. Tonight we'll be talking volleyball with head women's volleyball coach Colleen Cashman. So stay tuned after the break and we'll be joined in studio by Coach Cashman.
Hate those screaming commercials on your radio? Well, so did we. That's why we created Oneonta Community Radio, WUOW. You can leave regular radio behind, just tune to 104.7 WUOW, bringing you arts, information, and entertainment from the State University at Oneonta.
Welcome back. Joining me in studio tonight, our women's volleyball coach, Colleen Cashman.
Hello,
welcome
Geoff Hassard. How are you?
Hey, not too bad. Just tell us a little bit about yourself. I let my guests introduce themselves and give us a little background. Yeah, we'll go from there.
All right. I'm originally from Binghamton, New York. Went to Shenango Valley High School. And I'm not going to give out when I graduated. And right out of high school, I went to Broome Community College and played for the volleyball team there. And it's probably, as far as my love for volleyball, it probably started when I was in 6th grade. So that's actually when I first started playing, was at intramurals, which was a long time ago.
Yeah.
It was, back in the day when it was sports day as opposed to modified. And like I said, out of high school, I went to BCC and played on the team there and was very successful. Started as I started as a freshman and broke my foot. So then I was out for most of the season until the regional finals and played in those. And then the following year, we actually went to nationals as a junior college. So it was a great experience and playing for Mr. Mott. He was the Windsor High School coach. And then I went into the working world for 10 years and actually started as an assistant coach at Binghamton University, then SUNY Binghamton, back in 1989. And was assistant coach there for about 4 years and then decided that I needed to go back and get my 4-year degree, which I did in 1994. And what was great about that was that I still had 2 years of eligibility left. And between the junior college and the Division III, there's no time limit. So I actually got to play for the team. And it was it was a great experience. I was 10 years older than everyone else. And, I think it really helped me as I transitioned into a head coach position after, because I was able to empathize a little bit about the workouts and what it entailed to be a student athlete. And of course, that was back in the mid-90s, and a lot of things have changed since then, but at least I know what it's like to run an 8-minute mile, which I make the team run. So
right.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, because you kind of sort of came out of retirement off the bench to play for Binghamton, where you had some success. Talk a little bit about that, and then also you said you think it's made you a better coach because you kind of got it from both sides. So could you talk a little bit about that? Sure.
My first year back playing was it was good. We were successful. Actually, the 2 years that I played were 2 of the most successful years in the history of the program at that point. And it was a hard transition, I think, for both myself and the players I had coached as an assistant coach, because I was still kind of being that assistant coach on the floor, but yet at the same time, my experience on the floor, really helped us out. And so the second year, how all of us coaches, we tend to have that, individual meeting at the end of the year. And in my individual meeting, the head coach said, your teammates would really just like you to be a teammate and not a coach. And that really, it just put things in perspective for me, because I wasn't really enjoying the game like I could have enjoyed the game. And so the following year, we I can't even remember our record now, but we won the SUNY championship. We beat Cortland at that time, and at that time we had broken there at I don't know, 56 match winning streak. It was something like that in SUNY. And then we went on to the NCAAs for the first time and ended up losing to Ithaca in the first regional final. But it was just a great experience, and just to have that, just to be able to have that competitive experience, right. Whether you're just coming out of high school or you're 31 years old, you can't ever do it again. And I think that that has helped me relate to some of the players in my program who are trying to decide, do they want to do this, to continue to do it. Right. It's really only 1% of your life that you spend in college sports. Right. It's not a lot. No. And it's not, it just seems like a lot.
Right, at the time, because when they're going to practice, going to class, all that kind of stuff, they have to balance all that.
Right.
So it can seem overwhelming.
Exactly.
And I think your perspective probably allows them to kind of get a better handle on that stuff. So now, at Binghamton, you had some success. You're familiar with SUNY. You came here in 1999 as our volleyball coach, and you've had 10 pretty good years. We won the SUNYAC in 2003.
2002.
2002.
2002.
All right.
Yep.
So can you talk a bit about how you kind of got from when you first got here, building it to there, and then where it's gone from that point?
Oh, wow. Coming in 1999, I hadn't recruited anyone, so I had a team of 12, and six of them were freshmen that I didn't really know. And we had success. We had a winning season, which was nice because they didn't the year before. And I knew that I was going to need to build from some of those players, but yet others weren't really going to work into my philosophy of what I wanted for the program. And from that year, 3 of the freshmen stayed with us. And we're part of that SUNYAC championship team in 2002. It was Debbie Graffagino, Dana Fleming, and Jackie Leahy. And, those were 3 individuals where volleyball was a priority for them. Things are a bit different now, too. I mean, we're more of a highly academic school than we were back in, 1999 when they were recruited. I think it was just recruiting, like getting out there that first year and knowing I had to bring in a big freshman class and a quality freshman class. And, I think I did. I think I brought in, I don't even know how many we brought in, over 10 athletes that year. And I think we had 7 freshmen on the team. 1 quit after the first weekend. And then, the rest is kind of history. I think we lost 1 in the meantime. So 5 of our original freshmen from that team were talented class, and Lacey Musso, Christine Clark. They're just, they really worked hard to build that program.
Now, philosophy of recruiting. What kinds of things do you look for when you're out there at the high schools? And is it just all about talent, ability? Do you think, because we had Coach LaPiccolo on last week, and he talked about kind of trying to find the right fit. Is that important for you as well?
Absolutely. I think if you don't find the right fit, then you're going to always have that tension amongst your teammates. And, we try to bring in diversity, and I think our diversity comes, in many shapes and forms, from the geographic location that we draw from to, we've had a couple and currently do have an Asian on our team. And, I think, with that team chemistry, they all love volleyball. And I think that's one of the things that as we're recruiting, as you're talking to the recruits, you can really tell whether or not they really love the game and they're really going to put into it, as opposed to, it's just something that's going to come along with my academics. And, there is that fine line balance, as always, when you're a student athlete of, how much you're going to give towards your sport while maintaining your academic standards. Right,
so, and that's very important as well.
Right,
because we become a top 10 school in U.S. News and World Report, so we're getting a better quality student as well, and that carries over to getting those student athletes.
Absolutely.
Now, looking at this season, we're a few matches in. We're off to a decent start. Can you talk a little bit about the early season and maybe some of the players who have performed pretty well this far? Because we do have 4 freshmen on the team who are actually contributing right away. So could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. We started our season out in Colorado at the Pikes Peaks Challenge, and we knew it was going to be some tough competition. It's always different, playing out of region. And Colorado College, I mean, they're currently ranked 10th in the nation. So that was the last team that we saw, which we didn't play all that great, bring our game, but we have since then. And, I think, the first weekend, all of us in, the region are just trying to get a feel for what we're going to be able to do and, who, that best team chemistry is going to be on that court. For us, it's a little different this year. We have 11 on our roster. And, it's the smallest team I've ever had, but, it is, it's like my bio says, it's the smallest roster we've ever had, but we're very big on talent. And, currently we're starting 3 of those freshmen in the game.
And who are those freshmen?
Brittany Cavello starts at setter, Megan Devlin starts at middle, and Casey Baburka starts at outside.
What kinds of things? I mean, they have to grow up pretty fast.
They do.
They're starting and they have to contribute right away.
They do.
Is that a stress for them, or are they handling it? How are they doing so far?
I think it really depends on the individual. I think, and not to really speak for them, but I think Brittany and Casey kind of feel a little bit of pressure because of the positions that they play in setter and outside. Brittany's our setter and Casey's the outside. And Megan Devlin is, one of our middles, one of our freshman middles, and Cassie Abdo is the other. And, I think for the middle position, it's, you're just so busy out there on the court. I don't think you really have time to worry about your performance per se, because you're always going across the net and stuff like that. I think after last weekend, that all of us on the team have a different perspective of this season and where we're going and what we can do. And I think that's, it's just great. It's awesome. I mean, we played extremely well against St. John Fisher. And then last night we played against Hartwick. And again, I think we're in a nice groove right now where we're starting to gain some confidence and starting to, learn how to work with our freshmen. I think that any team kind of struggles with that when you have freshmen on the playing field or,
Right.
the court. It's just, working with that chemistry and, how's this individual play versus this individual play, and, can everyone, just mold into what's required on the court.
Now, that chemistry you're saying is building a little bit. We're moving into our first SUNYAC pool play weekend, which we are hosting on Friday and Saturday, September 25th and 26th. How do how does the SUNYAC stack up this year in the East Division, and where do you think your team can go?
Our team will definitely be in the top 3 this season. I'd be shocked if we weren't. I think right now it's anybody's game. If you look at the other teams in the conference or in our division, Cortland, they're 4-4 right now. I think New Paltz might be 4-4 also. We're 4-5. Potsdam might be have 1 or 2 wins right now, and Plattsburgh, still kind of struggling. And so, the fact that we play our first round robin at home is kind of exciting. It's nice that we get to play Scranton on Tuesday the 22nd first, just to get a feel for the, arena in that environment, because it's totally different playing than it is in practice. But, I'm pretty sure we're going to bring our A game. I tell you, it's come out and watch.
Well, that's good.
We bring some kabooms these days,
Now, of course, the way the SUNYAC volleyball works is the East Division, West Division. It's the only sport I think that's still divided that way.
Yes.
So now, in the East Division, we think we're going to be in the top 3, which will get us in the SUNYAC tournament. And then you kind of cross over and play some of the West teams possibly in the tournament. How do you think we stack up against some of those teams? I mean, Fredonia went to the NCAA tournament along with New Paltz last year. I mean,
right.
2 out of the SUNY was pretty amazing, actually,
Right.
because we usually only get 1.
Yep.
So how do you think we would stack up against the West Division?
Well, Fredonia is still a pretty solid team this year. They're playing some tough teams right from the start, as is New Paltz. Both of them played some out-of-region, national competition. Buff State, actually, is a surprise team this year. They're finally getting back on top. They're 5-5 and, have beaten some teams that they haven't in the past. And, Geneseo, right now, they're 8-3, and we saw them this past weekend at Ithaca play. And she has a solid team. It's what's great about this sport. Is like on any given day, anyone can take it.
Right,
And
especially when you get into that round robin and then you cross play and maybe you haven't played any of those teams, so they don't know what to expect, and you can catch them.
Right. And of course, we don't cross play until the championship. So the top 3 teams from each division go to the championships. Okay. But you know, I mean, we saw Brockport this weekend and unfortunately lost to them. And you know, hopefully we get another shot at them.
Early.
Right.
You know, early. As the freshmen get a little better and everybody comes together.
Yeah.
As far as the team, you know, you're obviously looking forward to the rest of the season. Your goal, you hope, would be to get to that, you know, that NCAA tournament again. When you get them here on campus, how do you utilize your upperclassmen? Because you have 2 seniors this year, Christina LaGuardia, who will be on later in the show. How are they for leaders? You know, being leaders for you for the younger players?
Well, I think that they've been awesome, and they're both in block. Jillian Richards is our other senior. They're both in block this semester, and you know, it's a challenge to do both because there's a lot of time commitment. And you know, so far they're both handling it very well. They come into practice, and you know, they walk through the door, and you wouldn't know that they had just spent 6 hours in a classroom or doing whatever they need to do for block. And you know, just the work ethic alone leads our team. I mean, they're 2 of the hardest workers on our team. And you know, but I think, you know, in the springtime we did some professional team development, and I really think that has helped everyone on the team recognize their role and how they can be leaders on the team regardless of what class they are. And you know, there are times when we have 5 sophomores and 1 senior on the court right now. You know, Christina Fabiocchi is our other starting outside. She's a sophomore, and you know, you know, I think they really do understand that in order for us to be successful, they each have to pull their own weight. You know, one of our sayings as we come out of huddles right now is own it. You know, and that means own it yourself. Do your job. You do your job, and we're going to be okay. So.
Well, and we certainly think that the team will be okay, and we certainly hope that we'll see you, you know, in the SUNY tournament and possibly get to the NCAA tournament.
Yes.
So I certainly, again, would like to thank you for coming by today, and I'm sure maybe we'll have you on a little later in the year to talk about some other things.
That would be absolutely awesome.
All right, well, thank you very
Geoff.
much. Well, after the break, I'll be joined in studio by volleyball athlete senior Christine LaGuardia. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Inside Red Dragon Sports. I'm joined now in the studio by senior Christine LaGuardia of the volleyball team. Welcome to the show, Christine.
Hi, thank you.
Before we get started on our interview today, I'd like to just have you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you went to high school, your hometown.
From Wappingers Falls, New York. I went to Arlington High School. I'm a childhood education major, and I'm an outside hitter and libero on the volleyball team.
Okay. Before we get into actually talking about the volleyball season this year, this past May you had a very unique experience as a student athlete here. You were our representative for Oneonta at the NCAA Leadership Conference down in Orlando, Florida. There are only a little over 300 student athletes from all divisions. Can you highlight that experience for us and talk about that?
It was a really great experience. I went down on a Sunday, came back on a Wednesday, and I met lots of amazing people from all over the country, people I still talk to. We did a lot of self-analysis and evaluation about our leadership styles, and we collaborated on a lot of different projects.
Now, what are some of the highlight topics that that self-assessment, like what kind of areas did you?
We did the DISC assessment, which is to evaluate what type of leader you are, and I'd already done that in SAC the year before, but it was really neat to see that it lined up exactly the same way, so I was still the same type of leader, but working on improving how I act.
Now, being with other athletes from other schools, I mean across the nation, Division I, II, and III, did you find any difference between a Division I athlete and a Division III athlete?
Not really. Everyone was really, really nice, and everyone was there to meet new people. We had a lot of differences with, our needs from our teams and how we looked at our teams. so that was interesting.
What were the biggest differences? I mean, obviously in Division I, there's scholarship and
Right.
a lot more money involved. I
Right.
mean, what kinds of things were you really talking about?
We talked about the student athlete well-being, and Division I athletes felt that they weren't treated as much as people as they were as workers, and they felt like their sport was their job. And student athletes from Division II and III said, we're student athletes, we're students first, and our sport comes second, and our schools understand that and support us in that.
Do you think eventually there could be some kind of movement? Because of course the NCAA, they're all about student athlete welfare. Right. And if the Division I athletes are saying, we feel like it's a job and not really a sport, so the enjoyment can't be there. Do you think that there could someday be a bigger change where they could feel a little bit better about participating?
Definitely. I think it's going to start with their student athlete advisory councils. We had a session on that, and each division was separated into a different meeting. So we met with all the Division III student athletes in SAC and talked about what the needs of our student athletes were, and then we compared later on, and their needs are a lot different than what we need. So I'm sure that'll go through their national SAC and get back to the council.
Now, when you speak about the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, you are involved in that as a student athlete. You're also involved in our Captain's Leadership Program, which is really in a kind of like our third year of existence. Some of the skills that you learned down in Orlando at the Leadership Conference, what kinds of things are you hoping to utilize in those two areas?
Well, I'm hoping to bring back different ideas about community service and that other schools are doing. We got some great ideas about what we could do at our school, and so I'm going to be talking to SAC about instating some of those. And I'm looking to bring back to my team, a better style of leadership and lead them through the season.
Now we have two seniors. You're one of them,
Yep.
you and Jillian Richards. Coach Cashman talked about you both yesterday as being tremendous leaders. How do you see yourself? We have 4 freshmen on our team,
Right.
and they're contributing right away. 3 of them start. Do they look at you for leadership and guidance?
Yeah, they do. It's tough because I'm the only one who's been there for the full 4 years, so they're always asking me all of the questions, and sometimes I still don't even know. So I'm trying to get them into the routine of asking once, learning it, and trying to apply it right away because they are making such an impact right away.
Now, Coach Cashman is very huge, the volleyball program, into like team building, activities. She does one at least in the spring and in preseason for the fall. Can you describe some of those team building activities and how you think it helps your program?
We haven't done too many of them this fall. It was we jumped right into the season really because we were going to Colorado right off the bat. So we did do a team bonding. We slept over and just got to know each other and had conversations. But we also did like a scavenger hunt together to complete a goal. And we were given a list of words that described team, like teamwork, compassion, support, and you had to go and find an item at one of the local stores that applied to those words. So it was a great experience, and when we came back together, the first team who got there was the winner technically, but we went over, who picked what for which word and judged them based on that.
Now, do you, every team has a head coach, but, the head coach has to rely on team leaders like yourself to maybe handle internal situations within the group. Do you find yourself having like team meetings, without the coach to talk about how the team is doing and how everyone's getting along?
We've had a few team huddle-ups after games or tournaments, and even in the locker room before practices to talk about what we want to accomplish and what our goals are for each day. And we haven't had conflicts. We have great chemistry on the team, so there's only 11 of us. It's really nice for team chemistry. We all got to know each other right off the bat. So
you're saying that it's been great for team bonding.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of on the same page.
Yeah, it's kind of why we didn't have to go out and do an activity because we are so involved with each other all the time.
Well, that's very good to hear. You're into the season now. We've played 9 matches up to this point. Any comments on the early season? I mean, again, we have 4 freshmen, 3 of them are starting. Are you pleased with the freshmen and how they've contributed to your team?
Yeah, they're doing a great job coming right in out of high school and jumping into this new world, that fast-paced volleyball. We don't want to we don't want to use the excuse that we're a young team. So we're looking to prove people wrong and show them that although we're only 11 and the majority of them are younger, we can make something great happen.
You're going to be hosting the first weekend of SUNYAC pool play East coming up this weekend. I mean, we have to get to the tournament. We've missed out on the tournament the last couple years. How do you see us in the SUNYAC this year?
I think we're in a great spot. Cortland and New Paltz always bring on a challenge, but we've got a lot of great players, and I think we're going to be able to go there.
Having it at home help?
It does, except it's on the weekend when people are going home. So.
Oh, that's right. We have college break,
Yep.
right? So there'll be a little less fans there, but certainly I know that your parents and friends
Yep,
will
they
be
always
there.
come
They
up.
always are. So you have any team goals, individual goals for this season as you look ahead? And
we set goals for each weekend, how many matches we want to win or who in particular we want to beat. So like this weekend we have NYU and St. John Fisher, and we beat St. John Fisher last weekend, so we're looking to come at them again strong and keep them down in points. And NYU always is a tough match, and I don't know when the last time we beat them was, so we're looking to come out with a win.
The weekend itself, a lot of excitement going on. Do you see the team as being able to, because when we cross over, if we make the SUNYAC tournament, we go and we play some of those West Division teams,
Right.
which include Brockport and Geneseo and Fredonia. How do you see us stacking up in a crossover situation? I mean, we did play Brockport this past weekend.
Right. I don't know too much about their teams this year, but in the past they've always been really strong in their conference, so we'll see.
So we're hoping that we can get to
Yeah.
that point where we can see them. Switching gears a little bit, you've been here a little over 3 years now. You're in your senior year. Can you maybe talk a little bit about your 4-year experience, not only with the volleyball program, but just as the college as a whole?
Sure. I was very involved with, Student Athletic Council. I started being on last year. I'm an ATM on campus, and I'm an education major, so we do a lot of different activities through all of those. It's been a great 3 years so far, and I'm looking to make this 4th one really great. I only have a semester, so.
Now, your experience here, was it everything you thought it would be when you came here? I mean, sometimes people come and they,
Right.
They think, oh, this is going to be great, and then they don't have such a great experience. But could
Right.
you talk about how positive your experience has been as a student athlete?
It's great you build such a close relationship with all the teachers because they know you're a student athlete. So most of them are more than willing to help you with anything, and they come to your games. So I never really saw myself becoming close with teachers and building actual relationships with them. They're always just there as a professor, but it's been a great experience.
Any advice that you would give to maybe potential, recruits that, that might be looking at Oneonta? Like, what kinds of things would you look for, or the academic program, or?
I mean, our academic programs are renowned everywhere, so they speak for themselves. But I mean, even all of the activities on campus that are offered from all the different departments, it's such a great opportunity to get involved in and build connections all over campus.
Now, you talk about your education major. You have to do your student teaching in the spring. Right now, you're very involved in what they call block here, which it takes up a lot of time,
Right.
all those education classes. I did go through them myself. I graduated education. So could you talk a little bit about how you're able to manage your time as a student athlete and still be able to compete while you're in block?
Well, because I was so involved all of the first 3 years, this semester is busier, but it's not such a shock because I had accustomed myself to time management and making use of my available time. So I'm sleeping a little bit less more, but there's still, there's enough time to do everything, but you can't waste any of it.
Education, the leadership skills that you've acquired as being a student athlete, does that help you, or do you think it will help you as you get out there into the teaching world?
It's a lot easier. You're used to being in front of people all the time performing your sport, so getting up to teach a lesson plan isn't such a big deal. But I mean, working with people has been great too. I've had to cooperate with all of my classmates, and I'll have to cooperate with all of my coworkers, so it's definitely going to be an asset.
A lot of group projects in block or education?
Yep. Every night we're working with a different group, or hopefully the same group, so that you're all on the same page. So it's been really positive. Everyone's everyone's stressed out, but everyone's working together because we're all working towards the same goal.
What other kinds of classes do you take as part of your block? I mean, can you maybe describe a couple of classes or?
There's a science class, and predominantly we've been doing a lot of lab experiences. We went to college camp and did a lot of lessons there. We have a curriculum class, which is about predominantly teaching. We have a history class and all these classes are about teaching the subjects, not just learning about the subjects, because that's what all of the other classes were leading up to this. And then we have a math class, which is so far been a lot of making of manipulatives and lesson plans and stuff like that.
Coach Cashman, again, she spoke very positively about you and Jillian as being senior leaders. What's it been like for you, perspective as a student athlete, her as a coach, and actually kind of maybe refer a little bit to like when you were recruited by Coach Cashman, and then maybe how it's culminated now into your senior season?
I predominantly came here for education, so I knew I wanted to play volleyball, and I had told her right off the bat that I did want to play volleyball, so I took the initiative to come here to play. She's been great. She works so well with all of us on the team. She's understanding of school and everything that's involved. So
she, of course, she was a graduate of the SUNY Binghamton herself. Do you think that's helped her in her relationships with her players and how she coaches and stresses the academic importance?
Yeah, because she's been there. She knows what we're going through, and even though it wasn't really recent, she knows exactly what we're going through.
Yeah. So overall, positive experience. I mean, you wouldn't have anything.
Can't complain about Coach Cashman.
No, that's great. I mean, and that's, I think, with all of our student athletes, we had on a couple of cross-country athletes, and they talked last week about Coach LaPiccolo and how our coaches are really involved in what they do because it's important for them to kind of transfer those life skills along with their, just playing their sport.
Right.
And we all know it's hard, especially in Division III with all the commitments you guys have.
Yeah, and I think her experience as Champs Life Skills Coordinator in the past couple of years really connected her with the athletes and let her see all of the issues and all of the privileges that we have, and she applies all of our skills that we learn on the court to our real life. And if we're doing something wrong, she's the first one to say, do you think your employer is going to agree with this? And it's a bit of a reality check for all of us.
Well, it is. It's a 4-year learning experience, and we would certainly like to thank you for coming by and taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today, and hope you can come back maybe a little later in the year, maybe when you're doing your student teaching or something, just come back and visit with us.
Sure.
Well, thank you again to Christine for joining us today, and we'd like to thank you for joining us for another edition of Inside Red Dragon Sports. Just a reminder again, our 24-hour sports hotline and our web homepage will certainly have all the information you'll need about Red Dragon Athletics. Just like to highlight a couple of the activities that are coming up this weekend. Of course, we just talked to Christine about the SUNY Pool Play Weekend, which is this Friday and Saturday, September 25th and 26th. We also have 2 home women's soccer games as they are matched up in some SUNY contests as well this Friday and Saturday, the 25th and 26th. Those games start at 4 o'clock on Friday and 1 o'clock on Saturday. We also have a home field hockey game on Saturday at 1 o'clock. And the tennis team, both men's and women's, are home on Sunday for matches that begin at 11 o'clock. So please join me again next week where we'll have more guests and talk about Red Dragon sports. Thank you.